think everyone's throwing out ideas. And that was another thing that I like, sometimes I felt like, oh, well, if this idea isn't perfect, I don't want to throw it out, because what if they don't like it, or what if they think less of me as a writer?
Right.
But you know, I like in one of the first co-writes I was in, the co-writers created this line in the document, and they were like, this is the no judgment line. Anything below this, no judgment, we're throwing out ideas. And I like that. And I think it kind of showed me everyone's looking for the best idea in the right. And you might, you know, by throwing something out, it might not be the right idea, but it might inspire the right idea, you know.
Well, hello, I'm Adam, and this is about you and your journey in music, and we'll talk about your EP.
Awesome. Sounds great.
Amazing. So, first off, where are you born and raised? You're in Nashville now, correct?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
So I grew up in Pennsylvania, outside of Philadelphia, in the suburbs there, and I moved to Nashville about a year ago, last summer.
Amazing. So, what was it like growing up in Pennsylvania?
It was really, really awesome. I lived in an area where it was super green and you know, woodsy, and I loved that. I loved getting out in nature, and I feel like you know, it was really like peaceful and stuff. And I also loved you know, growing up, my dad played me a bunch of music, and when we would go on hikes and stuff, he would, you know, play me music and play me old country songs, and I just loved hearing the stories and you know, how you could kind of close your eyes and picture those songs.
Yeah. Wow. Did he perform at all? Like, was he a guitar player, or he just played the records like on a?
Yeah, so he played guitar in a bunch of country rock bands when he was growing up. So I would kind of hear him playing around the house. He always had a guitar in his hands, and I just fell in love with, like, I would just make up melodies and lyrics and sing along, and it was just the most fun thing ever. And it was really, you know, it was really cool to get to share that with him and to get to just jam out with him. And that was really, I think, where my love of music came from.
Wow, that's cool. Yeah, especially to have a family member not only that plays but also supports what you're doing. Sounds like a lot, obviously.
Yeah, definitely. I feel very grateful.
So at what age were you interested in, learning how to play guitar, or was it always just something that you guys did together from a very, very early age?
Yeah, from a very young age, I would always sing along, and you know, whenever I heard him playing, I would just start singing along. But probably when I was about 10 or 11, he started teaching me how to play guitar, and that really opened it up for me. You know, I feel like before it was kind of, as soon as he got home from work, I was like, okay, play the guitar so we can make music. But after
Oh,
after he
cool.
started teaching me, I was able, you know, when I got home from school, to just, you know, pick it up and start messing around with writing songs. And that was really, I think, how I started writing songs. And I just loved how, as a songwriter, you kind of get to choose what message you put out into the world. And I just feel like that's really special. And you can kind of choose to, you know, to share positivity and to, you know, bring people together and lift them up. And I think that's really powerful. And I just, you know, fell in love with the process of creating, and how you get to, you know, just create this song that can really, you know, hopefully transport people, and you know, create something that hopefully people can relate to and that resonates for them.
I find it really, I mean, it's so interesting and really it's magical. Really, like you can write, like you can go into a room and write a song and create something that has never been done before, right? Just out of no, nothing. It's
Yeah,
just in your brain, and you just create music and melody and lyrics, and it comes out, and then people can hear it. If you just even think of the biggest songs on the planet, like Paul McCartney went into the studio or went into his room and just wrote, yesterday or whatever it may be. It's like, so
yeah.
like that didn't exist until he did that, and then it's like changed the lives of so many people.
I know, it's so crazy to think that literally, and like one afternoon the song didn't exist, and then a few hours later, you know, this thing that has the power to make such an impact on people is born. And I also think it's so crazy that it's like, a song is not something physical. It's, I mean, in its truest form, it's not something physical, it's not something you can hold or touch, but it has the power to make such a big impact on people. And I think that's just so incredible. And I think music is very unique in the way that it can really bring people together and unite them, whatever differences we have. Like, when you're listening to music and when you're going to a concert and hearing people play music, you're just, we're all united and we're all, together sharing this experience.
And it can, not only bring people together, it's therapeutic for people. It's you can
Totally.
hear a song and bring you back to some moment in your life. Like it's just crazy how the impact that it has on your brain in the sense like, oh, you hear a song and it could take you back to when you were 10 in the woods with your dad or whatever it may
Totally.
be. Yeah, it's just such
Yes,
a wild connection that your brain can make with a song
totally.
that's was created out of nothing, in a sense.
Yeah, it's really crazy. It's crazy how hearing a song just like brings back a memory and makes you, like remember a specific moment 10 years ago.
Right, you can pinpoint that moment that you heard the song. You're like, "Wow."
Totally.
It's wild that it exists that way. With that, you said, well, was your dad a songwriter as well, or did he just play covers?
He mostly just played covers. He for a while he was in like an AC/DC cover band, and he did a
Rad.
bunch of, Led Zeppelin and all of that stuff, all of those, rock artists, but he never really got into songwriting.
Okay. So you learn guitar and you use that really as kind of a vehicle or to write your own songs. Was that something that you were always striving for, or right away were you like, okay, I want to learn these 5 or 6 songs and sing along to them, or was it always kind of something that you wanted to create your own song?
Yeah, I think I always had this desire to create, and I think even before I really knew what songwriting was, or the rules of songwriting, or what a chorus was, or a verse, or any of that stuff, I just naturally, when he was playing, like rather than, I don't know, singing, I guess, songs that were already songs, I would just make up melodies and lyrics. And when I would hear a song in the car and there was like, 8 bars of instrumental before the lyrics came on, I would start singing my own melodies and lyrics. And it just was something that I think was so natural. And I just had this passion for creating, and that any, chance I got, I wanted to, create. And so, yeah, when I started learning guitar, I loved just messing around with different chords and, trying to see what melodies I could come up with. And a lot of the times I would start singing gibberish lyrics, and then one word in there, I would be like, oh, that could be a cool, topic for the song. And it would
Mhm.
kind of just spring from there.
Wow. And was that something like, were you shy growing up, or was songwriting and presenting your songs to people or showing your songs to people, was that something that was difficult for you? I mean, it's really a vulnerable thing.
Yeah, so I was definitely a more shy kid. And I think that's part of the reason why I loved songwriting, because it felt like, a way to express how I was feeling. And I had a very hard time, I think, talking to people. But when I was singing, for some reason, I felt, a lot more confident, and I felt, like I could share how I was feeling. And so even though I would say I was very shy when I got up on stage and was singing my songs and stuff, I think I just got so lost in the music that that kind of went away.
Interesting. So, like, when you were showing people your songs early on, like, uh, were you getting validation fairly quickly? Like, oh wow, Jordana's a really good songwriter, or like she's a great singer, or whatever it may be. Like, were you getting kind of those spikes of confidence and validation from peers or other people outside of your house?
I mean, I would say in the beginning, mostly I was sharing my songs with my parents and my grandparents and, aunts and uncles. And so I think, however much they were like, oh, that's great, I kind of was like, well, yeah, you're my parents, you have to say
Right.
that.
Yeah. You kind of have that idea, like, well, yeah, okay, you guys love it because it's me, but is
Yeah.
this really something that's tangible?
Yeah, totally. I think, yeah, I don't know. I think I appreciated their support, but mostly I don't think I really cared whether people liked it or not. I was like, well, I like what I created and I'm having fun creating it, so I'm just gonna keep doing it. But I think it wasn't really until I started posting some stuff when I was probably like 14, and random people who I had never met were like, oh, I like this. This is really cool, that I was like, oh, okay, that's awesome that other people are enjoying this as well.
Was there like I mean, you said you moved to Nashville a little over a year ago. Is that correct? And but
Mhm.
I mean, you've had like a big moment on TikTok and other things. Obviously, I mean, your music video has nearly a million plays. Like you have millions of streams on your songs. Like, Was that like at 14 when you're putting stuff up online? Did you have a song that, kind of popped and did something before you moved to Nashville, or like how do you end up getting to Nashville? Because you're pretty young still. I mean, what, you're like 17 or 18. So
Yeah,
like,
17.
yeah, so 17 to get your family to just up and move to Nashville, unless that's, you have to have not only a lot of support, but I'm sure there's some, you know, lot, I don't know what the word would be, but there has to be some game plan behind it, I would think.
Yes, totally. So, I first started posting a few covers on YouTube, and I remember going into my parents' room one night, and they were like, "It has 5,000 views," and I was like, "What? 5,000
Wow.
views? That's crazy!" And then the next morning, it had like 3 million views, and
Of
I
a
was
cover or
just
one of your own songs?
a cover.
Oh my gosh. But
Yeah,
still, that's wild.
yeah, and I mean, I was floored by the 5,000 views. I was like, I don't think I even know 5,000 people.
Yeah,
And
for
so
sure.
for it to for it to reach that many people was really crazy to me. And through a mutual friend sent Seth Mosley, a producer and writer in Nashville, one of those videos, those cover videos, and he invited me and my dad to come to Nashville and to meet up with him and record a few songs. And so we went down, and that was like the start of 2020. And we went down, we met up with him. He is just one of the best people. He's super down to earth, super nice, and he's also just so talented. And I had a blast recording with him. That was kind of my first experience being in the studio and recording a song, and I just loved it so much. It was so much fun. But then the pandemic hit, and so we had a little pause on coming back to Nashville. But I took that time to kind of just, start posting on Instagram and start going live every night. And I would go live for an hour or two every night and just try to create a space where people could talk about how they were feeling, and we could use music to, create a little positivity in everyone's day. And I think everyone was kind of longing for a sense of community. And so I really wanted to try to create that with my music and with, these live streams. And it was really cool to see how, they started growing. At first it was like 3 people and my parents were one of them, but then it quickly started growing to, multiple thousands of people joining every night. And it was really just awesome to get to connect with people in a time where I feel like we were all really feeling very isolated.
Sure.
But so, after that, I used Instagram to be able to share my music with more people. And it was really awesome to, to be able to connect with people through music. And so through that, when I started releasing some songs, and I started releasing a few back in April, I, was able to share those on social media, and then that translated to more streams, which was really awesome. And I signed a record deal with Riser House probably like a year ago.
Yeah,
And
massive.
thank you. Yeah, and so it's been really awesome to be releasing these songs with them, and have them as a team behind me. And I just love the team there. And so I think that all contributed to my parents agreeing to move. And I, probably like 2 years ago told them, hey, I think I want to graduate early and and move to Nashville. And they were open to the idea. I think they wanted to make sure that I had an education and had, the tools to provide for myself, but they were very open to supporting me and, supporting me and following my dream. And so we talked to my school, and I started taking extra classes and all of that. And I was able to graduate last year. And then after that, shortly after that, we moved. And it's been just so fun getting to live in Nashville and do this full time.
That's so cool. And signing that record deal must have been massive for you, obviously.
Yeah, it was really awesome. So through a mutual friend, I got connected, and he worked there, and he had been kind of giving me some advice on social media on the side for a few months. And then he was like, hey, I want to bring you in to meet the label. I think they could be a really good fit. And so I met with the head of the label, Jen, and I played a bunch of songs for her, and it was just like an instant connection. I love her, and she's so great, and the whole team there is so awesome, and it really feels like a family.
Mhm.
And I'm super excited to be working with them.
That's cool. And when you got to Nashville, and are you put into writers' rooms with other people and kind of workshopping songs that way?
Yeah, so through Seth, the producer that we first met in Nashville, his publisher at the time for his company was connecting me with a bunch of writers, and I first started co-writing on Zoom during the pandemic. And
Mhm.
it's funny, I probably did like 50 Zoom writes before I ever did one in person.
Wow.
And once I did one in person, I was like, I understand why people like this a lot better. But I love I love co-writing. I think it's so fun getting to collaborate with people and, bounce ideas off of each other. And it's just one of the coolest things to see how ideas change and evolve in a room, and how you could bring one thing in and how it turns into something so different and so, much better when you come
Mhm.
out of it. And so I really love that process, and I find it really fun.
When you go into a co-write, and especially if you're writing with people that have done this for a number of years, right? And they have credits under their belt and everything else. And going in, like, did you experience like any like ageism as a, or were you nervous at all? You're around these people that maybe are like, there's this younger person in here writing songs. Like, did you feel like it was hard to kind of open up, or say, oh, I don't like this thing, or I don't like this direction, like kind of have to assert yourself? I would think that would be difficult.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely the first few co-writes that I did, I think I had a hard time. I didn't want to hurt anyone's feelings if I didn't love
Right.
a certain idea they threw out. And so I, sometimes came out of the room where I was like, oh, I wish we had done something different on this line. And I just, I didn't know exactly what the best way was to tell someone that, I think we could push for a better idea. But after being, I think, in more rooms and stuff, and just observing the ways that other people, went about that. And sometimes it was like, I like that. I think we can beat it. Or like,
Mhm.
like, I'm not sure that's exactly how I would say it, or stuff like that. I think there are ways to, to say it where it's not, offensive
Lessen
or
the
personal,
blow.
you know.
Yeah, like, that's
And also,
awful.
I
I
think
would never say that.
everyone's, um, yeah, but I think everyone's throwing out ideas, and that was another thing that I like. Sometimes I felt like, oh, well, if this idea isn't perfect, I don't want to throw it out, because what if they don't like it, or what if they think less of me as a writer?
Right.
Um, but I like in one of the first co-writes I was in, the co-writers created this line in the document, and they were like, this is the no judgment line. Anything below this, no judgment. We're throwing out ideas. And I like that, and I think it kind of showed me everyone's looking for the best idea in the right. And you might, by throwing something out, it might not be the right idea, but it might inspire the right idea. Someone
Mhm.
else in the room might hear that idea, and it might spark something that, turns into the right idea. And so I think, and Nashville writers are so, like 99% of the time, they are so welcoming and non-judgmental. Like,
Yeah.
literally basically every write I've had, people are so open to hearing ideas, and they're not judging. They just want to come up with the best thing and come create the best product that we can. And so I think, I was very fortunate to those first few writes that I did learn that people are really, not going to judge you if you throw out an idea. And just, say it. If you think it could work, say it. And it might not work, but it might inspire something that will.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, I feel like that in not even only in songwriting, but I live in Nashville too, but I moved from California, and I feel like people are just so much more pleasant.
Yeah,
I'm not shocked that it isn't as like, you could feel safer to express your feelings without being
totally.
attacked.
And I agree. And I think one of the things that shows that so well is, so in Nashville, every write you go into, it's like equal split. Like if there are four writers in the room, each one gets 25% of the publishing. Um,
Uh-huh.
if there are two writers, they get 50%, whatever. In LA, that's not the same. It's however much you contributed is how much percentage you get. So for example,
Oh,
like if you
interesting.
contributed like 5 lines, they could be like, you should only get like 13.7% or whatever. And I think that just creates an environment where people are really just trying to get their idea in the song so that they can get more percentage, rather than trying to get the best idea regardless of whose idea that is. And so I love that
Right.
in Nashville, it creates a room that's like has no tension when everyone is just going to get the same split, and we're all just working to try to get the best idea, however that comes about.
That's really interesting. I didn't know that. I'm not shocked by any means. But like, yeah,
Yeah.
then it comes to the person with the seniority or the loudest voice saying, "Oh
Yeah.
no, Jordana, that's not, I wouldn't say it that way." And then just maybe changing a little bit of what you said. And then now that line of yours is gone and you
Yeah,
lost the
exactly.
whatever percent. That's super fascinating. I didn't realize that.
Hmm.
Yeah, I could see how you wouldn't really deliver the best product that way.
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh,
Exactly. And I think so
wow.
many times in writing, it's like, whose idea was that? Like, it might have started out as this person's idea, but then this person added this one word, and it's like, how can you really determine like who contributed the most and like
Right.
what percentage they contributed, you know?
Yeah, unless one person just sitting on their phone in the corner, not even talking, I could see why they'd be like, okay, this guy or
Yeah,
girl,
shouldn't get that
whoever.
much. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe they shouldn't get the 25%, but yeah, there's no way to say that an idea didn't start from one person versus the other person. But that's
Yeah.
really interesting. I didn't know that. Um, I love your video for Guilty. I think the concept behind it is really cool.
Thank
You're kind of in an
you.
interrogation room, and then when you're taking your mugshot pictures, it's like you know, you're having fun with it, and the photographer's like smile, and like you're just like just like the concept I thought was really creative, and then like you're guilty of liking this person, and all, it's just like the evidence photos are all just of this guy that works at the coffee shop. Like I thought that was really cool, creative idea.
Thank you. It was so much fun to film. When I wrote the song, I kind of, a lot of times after I write it, because I'm a very visual person, I kind of picture, I'm like, ooh, this would be such a cool music video concept for it. And so after we wrote it, because we had all these like jail references in the song with it, the title being Guilty, I thought it would be really fun to do a prison, but make it like super fun and girly and
Yeah.
and going into it, I really wanted to have it directed by Roman White, who directed a bunch of the Taylor Swift music videos. He directed Before He Cheats, and
Wow.
so many others. And I remember probably like 2 years before this video, when my dad and I were trying to do like more of a smaller music video for a song that I had like put out on YouTube and stuff. There was a section on his website that was like, business inquiries. And so we put something down like, hey, Roman, we'd love to work with you. He never responded. So
Oh,
after we got him to do this video, we were like teasing him on set. We were like, Roman, why didn't you respond to our email? You didn't want to
that's
work with us.
funny.
But,
That's awesome. You actually called him out.
yeah, but he's so funny. He's the best.
Well,
But my
and
label was able to connect us with him, and it was so much fun to work with him on set. And it was, yeah, he just made it such a fun environment, and so non-judgmental. I think the same thing is true when you're doing a music video and you're trying to pretend to be in love with this person that you've just met, and it's kind of uncomfortable and awkward. And Roman just did a great job, making that tension go away and making it just super fun and carefree.
yeah, it's a cool video. And then your EP, it's just your self-titled EP, correct? It's just you're
Yeah.
just gonna, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Jordana Bryant. And I love the song. I love the songs you put out on it so far. Penniless Broke is really a great song. I feel
Thank you.
like the sound of the last few records that you put out is just, it's like this more, it's like a definitely a modernized country. So like you're like Guilty is like a straightforward country song that's really good. There's a lot more like production elements, I feel like, in Penniless Broke, and even Can I Get It Back?
Yeah, yeah. I love how there's some more, I think, like different and more modern parts of the production that make it really hooky. And for Penniless and Broke, that one's co-produced by Seth Mosley and Tom Jordan of Seaforth, and I think Tom added some really cool elements that brought it a little more modern too.
Yeah, is that kind of what the EP is gonna have, that same feel for? And because you haven't released the whole thing, the rest of it's coming out, but how many of the songs are out thus far?
So one of the songs, just Penniless and Broke, and
Oh,
then the
okay,
other
so the rest of it's new.
Yeah, the 5 other songs are all new. They come out tonight at midnight. And yeah, some of them are more in this more modern, a little bit more, pop country, production, but there are definitely a few on there too that are more country and I would call them more, yeah, country production and country lyricism, and so I'm excited. I feel like they all, together feel cohesive in the way that I would say my genre is country pop. I love
Mhm.
the storytelling aspect of country music. I love how it's very visual. I also love the melodic influences that pop has, and how, you can kind of bring some more of those really hooky, different rhythmic, things in your melody. And so I love blending the two, and I'm excited to, have that blend kind of come about in the EP.
Awesome. When did you start working on the EP?
We started probably, I want to say like late spring of last year, so probably about a year ago. I started writing for it, and got in the studio probably end of the year, maybe beginning of this year. So November, December, January, we started getting in the studio and recording them. And probably about a month ago, we filmed some videos for all of the songs. So those are going to come out on YouTube tonight.
Oh, all everything. You're just gonna release all of it. That's awesome.
Yeah, so all of them have a visualizer, so a smaller video, and then we might put out some bigger videos for a few of the songs at a later point too.
Very cool. Is there a song on the record that, you know, maybe was a little bit more difficult or vulnerable to put out, or like what was like, or was there a special moment when you were putting the EP together that you could think of off the top of your head?
Yeah, I would say Holy. I mean, I love all the songs on the project, but I feel like
Sure.
Holy really special to me. It's the first song on the project, and it's um, I think it shows a little bit more of who I am. I wrote it about, the people in life that really see you for the whole you, and love you no matter what, and whether that be a friend, a parent, a family member, a partner, anyone. And for me, it was inspired by my faith, and my faith is a big part of who I am, and I'm excited to
Mhm.
share that in my music. So I'm excited to put that one out. And I also am excited for the last song on the project, Breathe, which is, about taking care of yourself, and in those difficult remote moments, just remembering to breathe and take it one moment at a time, and just trust that you're going to get through it.
That's exciting. Well, I appreciate your time today. Thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah, of course. It was great to talk with you.
Yeah. Do you have any shows coming up that you're gonna do like in support of the EP?
Yeah, so I'm playing at Live Oak tonight at 7 p.m. And then tomorrow night I am playing at Conrad Nashville at 8 p.m. And then on Monday I'm playing Whiskey Jam.
Oh, cool.
And next Saturday I'm playing Raging Cajun Festival in downtown Nashville.
No way. That's awesome. Yeah, there's a lot
Yeah,
of
I'm
chances
excited.
to support the EP. That's cool.
Yes, definitely.
Well, again, I appreciate your time today. Thank you so much, Jordana, for doing this. I have one more quick question before I let you go. I want to know if you have any advice for aspiring artists.
Yeah, I would say just never lose your special, things that you have to say. I think a lot of times when you come into industry, you see so many people who are so talented, and it can be really intimidating, but you're the only one of you, and you're the only one who can say what you have to say. So just never lose that authenticity, and never try to, just copy someone else who's having success, because there's already one of them, but there's not one of you yet. And you have something really unique that you can bring to the music industry. And so if you just remember that and remember to stay true to yourself, you're never going to go wrong.